Welcome to Win with Richardson and Richardson. What's important now? Success in business most often comes down to hard work, not by silver bullets and quick fixes. It's knowing where to focus that hard work that's key to winning. Join sales prospecting expert and 3-time seven-figure business founder Carrie Richardson and managing partner of R&R Consulting and former owner of Doberman Technologies, Ian Richardson, for radical honesty regarding strategic planning, accountability, and execution that will get you the systematic results you're working toward. Let's get into today's episode. Thought leader and your host, Carrie Richardson.
Hello and welcome to WIN. I'm your host, Ian Richardson from Richardson & Richardson Consulting. And today I'm joined by Maria Florio. Anna, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for taking some time this Friday to pop on and record an episode of WIN and share your story with the audience.
Sure. I'm thrilled. Thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Anna's the owner of La Cucina at the Market, which is a Philadelphia Italian market and cooking operation. She's a Philadelphia native and the daughter of Italian-born parents from the Campania region of Italy. Her family brought rich traditions of La Cucina with them when they emigrated to Philadelphia in the 60s. She grew up speaking Italian in a family where the kitchen was the center of the house. And I can speak from experience on that. I'm looking forward to diving into your childhood a little bit to see if it resonates with a friend I grew up with. When people came together in their home, there was always something cooking. In 2000, she accepted an invitation to join Temple University City Center, TUCC, as an Italian language instructor and began to share her heritage with the Philly community. Anna wanted to recreate and share the experience of her own family kitchen directly with her students as a teaching tool. In 2004, she approached the director of the continuing education department at TUCC about developing a series that combined food and language. TUCC's first Italian cooking language class, entitled, oh boy, say it for me, Anna.
Mangiamo in Italiano.
Mangiamo in Italiano was a hit. Several years later, with increased interest in all things food, it was the right time for the birth of the market. Anna approached management at Reading Terminal Market with the idea of having a space exclusively dedicated to cooking education and culinary demonstration. The enthusiasm was contagious, and the process of
La Cucina.
Yeah, La Cucina. Steve, you'll have to cut that little space. The enthusiasm was contagious, and the process of La Cucina at the Market began and was born. After 7 years at RTM, it was time for a change. Anna found a wonderful new home in Market East. On July 17, 2016, 1206 Arch Street opened its doors to old and new friends, and the tradition resumed. Every month, her and her team bring new and interesting class options and a breadth of opportunities for culinary activities. Anna, people want to know, what's for dinner tonight?
Well, tonight is, as it would be, we're having the Feast of Seven Fishes. So it's a little more complicated than your average Friday night.
Yeah, it certainly sounds it. I'm jealous. I wish I was there to partake. I adore seafood, and I never get enough of it.
Well, this would be the class for you.
Yes. Well, I would probably come as someone's plus one. Well, and let them manage that. All I would manage to do is burn the fish. So we always follow a set agenda here on WIN. WIN's an entrepreneurial podcast, and the food industry, to my understanding, is tougher than most. And really, when you get into food and education and combining these two verticals, it's a whole different kit and caboodle. And one of the challenges that we were talking about before the show, everybody knows that staffing's a bear right now. COVID all gave us a run for our money. And in your particular space, it's got to be tougher than most, because not only are you dealing with, hey, we're preparing food and you need kitchen and culinary knowledge, you need to be familiar with the food industry, but you have to have a passion for education too.
Yeah.
Talk to us about managing that unique challenge set and finding the right people to be on the bus for your team.
Yeah. I mean, that is a unique challenge, and it has its pros and its cons. On the good side is that, our hours are not restaurant hours. So it's not that grueling, 13, 14-hour day.
Yeah.
But your point is really hits the target, which is that you have to have a passion for teaching. At the very least, you have to have a passion for people. And, there are a lot of people who are great, well-versed in food, great chefs, great cooks, but don't necessarily like to interact with others while they're doing that process of cooking. So that could be a tough combination, because someone will say, oh, I'm applying for this job. I'm a terrific, Asian cook.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then, it doesn't take too long to figure out, well, maybe they have a little bit of a problem letting go of some of the tasks, because we're an interactive experience. So we're teaching you, but you're doing the process along with us. You have to let that go. If you're going to teach someone interactively, you cannot be controlling all the direction of, you can control the direction, but you can't control the steps. So it's tough. There's already a staffing shortage as it is, and now we're looking for kind of a niche in the food world. A lot of people come in and say, well, I've worked in restaurants. Working in a restaurant is slightly different than working at La Cucina.
Yeah. No, and I love that give up control conversation. One of the areas of passion that I have is around learning and thinking about that. Hey, it's just like watching a kid learning how to tie their shoe, right? At first, they have no idea, what is this wizardry? How did you manage to do this? And then they can kind of start repeating the steps, and then they might be able to help and do some of it. And then they could really do it. And you could just watch and say, hey, yeah, you did it well, or here's
Right.
an opportunity for advancement. But I firmly believe if you think about going around that cycle of learning, that fifth step is when you teach someone else. That's when there's a whole different level of learning that can occur. Are you and your team finding that they gain benefit from passing on those skills once they embrace the strategy?
Oh, 100%. I mean, right away, you see the immediate return is that you see satisfaction that they've accomplished. Every class ends in them sitting down and eating whatever the class topic was. So there's usually multi courses. And when someone says, wow, this looks beautiful and it tastes great, it still amazes me to this day when we get a lot of rave reviews and they'll say, wonderful experience, great night, and the food was delicious. Well, that's kind of the goal. I mean,
Yeah.
we want you to have fun, we want you to learn, and we want you to learn how to prepare delicious food.
Oh yeah, 100%. I grew up. One of my childhood friends was a guy named Josh Holcomb, and his mom Tonya came over and immigrated to the U.S. And I always remember around this time going by their house, and she would do holiday dinners where everyone was invited, and she started in the kitchen at 5 a.m. Dinner was around like 7 or 8 o'clock, right? And they had a table that was as long as this room, and every square inch of that table was packed.
Yeah, it sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah, it just was. It was really a delightful time. Where did the passion around education stem from in your background?
I mean, I literally fell into it. It was just kind of, I was in between careers and really hadn't been pleased with what I was doing, and was just asked to fill in for a professor who was taking a sabbatical.
Mhm.
And, I mean, I've always loved my culture. I love to share my culture. I'd never done it formally. And it was supposed to be a very short, I think it was going to be 6 weeks. And, so I filled in, and then I came prepared with my conjugation, verb notes, and all that, and found that people really wanted to talk a lot about culture. The language was secondary to them wanting to be able to identify with something and then be able to speak to the people that they were going to encounter. Most of these people were going to be traveling. So it's easy to get passionate about something that's very familiar and that is just part of who you are. And that happens to be in vogue was really a plus. People were traveling a lot. The Food Network was booming. And in that teaching experience at Temple University, I realized, wow, I'm a good communicator. People love to listen. They love to learn as long as you can find a way to really engage them. And I've always been, because it works for me, a big proponent of hands-on learning and speaking. You can't learn a language if you read a book. I mean, you can learn it, but you really will never know how to speak it. And that is what I, took as my biggest return, and found that the more that I applied that concept, more you engage people and make it fun, the more they want to participate and learn, and the better they'll do at it.
Absolutely. That just resonates home. If you can trigger that enjoyment, right, and hit that hit those parts of the brain that just kind of say, hey, like this is fun, this is rewarding, then not only does it make someone more engaged, but the retention goes up too.
100%.
And so swinging back to that challenge around, hey, staffing and overcoming a tough market, there's a pretty big achievement that you and your team were able to pull off. Here we are, it's 2022, it's December, it's holiday season. And I won't say that the COVID pandemic is over, but we're on the other side of it. And if we were winding back going into COVID, one of the industries that was massively impacted was the food service industry. People weren't allowed to be open. They got shut down. The business was turned off. And you were telling me before the show that you and the team at La Cucina came out stronger than before. Talk us through that. What happened that helped you guys grow through the pandemic?
Well, I mean, we were really growing at a pretty good clip in 2019. We'd had our best year, best holiday season, and right into January, full on. And then I think it was March 13th, we had a class. And I think by the end of the class, there was an announcement locally made in Philadelphia that following Friday, there was going to be complete shutdown. So, okay, well, I'm still paying people on the staff. We're going to keep going. We're going to get out of this in a couple weeks. And then like maybe 5 weeks later, there's no opening in sight. Things are getting worse. And people are pivoting. And I'm thinking, well, how can I pivot really? Because we're such an in-person experience. So we moved into virtual learning experiences. A lot of our clients are corporate clients who do team building. And I think they were also, stuck because they weren't able to meet. So we gave these virtual experiences. We prepared these food boxes, all the ingredients, and send them out. Much different than what we do, and really like way different to try to price something like that out when you start. And then we're going into shipping, and here's all kinds of backlogs because people aren't working. We really just a little bit of government help, a little bit again of the loyal customers from the back who, what we started to see was very unusual, people buying gift certificates. Now, we're in the middle of a shutdown. We don't know when it's going to end, but people are buying gift certificates. And I personally think that was just their way of showing support. So this went on for about 13 months where we're closed, we're open, we're closed, we're open. A lot of corporate clients, they had their own in-house restrictions. They could not meet in person. We tried to do a little takeaway food. Again, it's not my forte, but we'll do anything so I can keep these people on the payroll because this is their job. Luckily, the time passes and, we start putting up a couple of classes because we also do public classes. So we have private events and then we have classes open to the public. We start doing them. we start getting a little reach out about, we want to bring in a small group, maybe 8 people. And it just started to again take off. And I kept thinking, or really with nothing except a solid positive attitude, we can come out on the other side of this. We're going to be okay. If we can just live long enough to get to the other side in terms of, being able to pay our bills. And, we had good partners. I mean, the landlord, they were okay. They weren't, super duper. They had bills to pay too, but they did offer forbearance. Those things kind of helped you kind of chug along until we reopened. And once we reopened, I mean, it was just full on. Like, people just couldn't get enough. Everything was selling out. We were inundated with requests for private events. So, we were in a good position at that point, other than the staffing.
So almost keeping that, we had that good, positive, for lack of a better term, like market and brand awareness, where demand had been generated, and just saying like, hey, we'll be here. We'll be here. We'll be here. We'll be here. Appreciate the support. And then the second that people were allowed to consume the supply, demand's through the roof. I love it. I love that. Just, hey, we're just going to keep on keeping on. And that's, I don't know of a better description of entrepreneur than grit, right? Well, you will not take this from me.
I did. There were a lot of nights where I would just say to my husband, I'm like, oh my God, I worked so hard for this. And what now? What, I am not going to allow this to happen, but of course it's all out of your control. But it worked out.
Yeah. Being able to pull through. And so I have to imagine that when we're looking at that, when we're looking at the whiteboard and saying, all right, what's next? What's next for La Cucina and the team, and what are we going to do next? You've got to be looking at that solid, loyal base and saying there is a massive opportunity to capture from our repeat business, from our loyal customer base, to grow through referrals to other organizations, to other individuals, to capture new opportunities. Talk to us about what's next. What's on the horizon for you and the team?
Well, I mean, at this point, I have a great solid team. It's about half of the staff that we had prior. So clearly anything that involves growth is going to involve picking up some new people who share our passion. And you mentioned the repeat customer, the repeat client. That's such an important part of us. And we try to acknowledge and recognize them in some fashion, whether it's we always give them a little more attention, because when you love what you do, it's easy to give a little more, whether that is turned in a takeaway that we're sending home with them. For some of our loyal repeat people this holiday season, they don't know it yet, but they're going to be receiving a dinner gift box. So it's one of the dinners that we would have made in one of the classes. We looked up what they had done, and we'll put that together and get it delivered to them to acknowledge their support through all of this. I mean, ultimately, our goal is that we're going to have a second location, and it's going to be more in the pop-up fashion. And I think that will also provide everyone who follows us and who wants to join us a little more opportunity to do that. What happens this is clearly a busy time of year for us, right? October through December, actually October through January, we're swamped. The hardest thing for me has been to say, no, I'm sorry, that date is not available. So hoping that going forward, we'll be able to have another place that we can offer, that we won't have to say, no, we can't do it tonight.
Exactly. That ability to service two demands for the same area. That's an awesome strategic focus. I love that. One of the more difficult skill sets in entrepreneurial ability is to say no to the opportunity, right? That, hey, there's money on the table, there's an opportunity to form a relationship, but if it's going to compromise something else, or if there's not the capacity, if it can't be serviced to our standards, that ability to say no ends up paying more dividends than if we always said yes.
Well, we'd look to hope that, because it's, coming out of tough financial times, you don't want to say no, but you hit it on the head again, which is that you don't want to compromise the experience, the quality, and I certainly don't want to burn my staff out, because if I lose them, then it's all over. I mean, I think I have a lot of energy, but I know my limits, and there's only so many things you can do in a day and do them well.
Yep. Yeah, and otherwise you're just at that risk for you're at the risk to compromise the integrity of the brand.
That's right.
That's where it all lives. Anna, I can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your day to come on and share your story. People can find you in La Cucina on LinkedIn, but call out the other social platforms they can look for you at.
Surely they can find us on Facebook. We have a really heavy Instagram presence. We're on YouTube, and we will be on TikTok.
All right. We will link out to all of those social profiles, as well as the website, and how you can get to Anna on the show notes. If you're interested in learning more about Richardson & Richardson, you can find us on the web at r&r.consulting. We're also very, very active on LinkedIn. You can find previous episodes of WIN, webcasts, blogs, white papers. Might even find a carrier pigeon or two out there. So, Anna, thank you again for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you, Ian. It was a pleasure, and hopefully we'll get you into Philadelphia and do a little cooking in La Cucina.
Oh, that's book it. We're there. Carrie and I will be there. That's Steve. This sounds like the next offsite location for us. All right. Until next time, everyone. This is Ian Richardson from Richardson & Richardson Consulting. Take it easy.
You've been listening to WIN with Richardson & Richardson. What's important now? We're so glad you've joined us and know you're one step closer to winning big in your business too. We'd love to connect with you outside of the show. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to connect@rnr.consulting. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so you'll easily know when new episodes are available. Until next time, you can win, and we're here to help.